Hi, I'm Alistair, and in this final tutorial I'll be covering global variables and parallelism. Within these tutorials, the scripts to manipulate the task data have been kept deliberately simple, so that the structure and organization of the workflow can be revealed. However, the strength of Dedoctive's hybrid workflows is that they can tackle very challenging data processing tasks. As a result, some variables and functions might need to be repeated throughout the workflow in different tasks. In the traditional way, this would need to be passed from task to task within task data, each storing its own copy in the session state. To alleviate this overhead and to allow data to be accessed anywhere, Dedoctive also supports a workflow global dictionary called workflow data for storing constants. An important note is that the values in workflow data should be treated as immutable, meaning once a value has been set, it can't be modified. We'll begin this tutorial by creating a new workflow called Tutorial 10. Next, we'll add a start and an end event and name them. After the start event, add a parallel gateway. This can be dragged in from the left here. The default gateway is an exclusive gateway. However, we want a parallel gateway. To do this, click the spanner and choose Parallel Gateway. Parallel gateways allow multiple branches to be completed simultaneously. For example, in this workflow, we'll add 2 script tasks after this parallel gateway. Now I'll connect all of these tasks up. I'll name the top script task init workflow data 1 and the bottom script task init workflow data 2. Next, we'll add a parallel gateway just after these 2 tasks. Again, drag in the gateway and change it to a parallel gateway, and we'll connect these up. This second parallel gateway must be added, as when it gets to this gateway during execution, it will wait for all branches to finish and then merge all the split paths together. Then we'll add another script task after called access workflow data, and we'll connect this up. Now that we have the structure of the workflow, we'll edit the script for init workflow data 1. Here we'll add this code. This just accesses the global dictionary workflow data and sets the key global1 to the value global value 1. The global dictionary is accessed just like any other variable. However, the name workflow data is a reserved variable for this global dictionary. We'll now save this and go into workflow data 2. And we'll set this to this code. We'll save this and then go into access workflow data. In here, we'll add this code. This code just ensures that the workflow data can be viewed in the workflow output window, as usually it's not visible. We'll save this, save the workflow, and run it. If we inspect the task data of init workflow data 1, we can see that it only contains workflow mode. This is because the variable is in the workflow data, which isn't visible within task data, as it's in the global dictionary. It is the same in init workflow data 2. However, now, if we view the end event and the task data, we can see that the task data includes global 1, global 2, and the workflow. This is because in this script, we set these values so that we can view workflow data. This is quite a simple example, but in a more complex workflow, these globals could be functions, which could be reused at any point in the workflow. That's all for tutorial 10, the final tutorial in the series. Now that you know all the essential concepts of our workflow designer, I'll show you a more complex workflow that you'd be able to create by just applying these concepts. This workflow uses MCP tool calls to our MCP document server, which provides comprehensive knowledge model indexing and querying. This allows us to semantically, lexically, and graphically query a document collection, and in this case generate a GSN diagram which shows the elements of an argument and their relationships. This is just an example of one of the many workflows you could create, and the scalability of this dedoctive designer. Thank you for taking the time to follow this tutorial series. Hopefully now you understand the various features available in Dedoctive Developer Edition. If you would like any further information, the link to our website is in the description.